All right, guys, we just loaded up with fuel. We have the old trusty 950 Super Enduro R, and now we have the KTM 890 Adventure Rally R. What an amazing looking machine. So today we're gonna go out, hammer some twisty pavement and some dirty dirt and see what she does. First fire up. I mean, it's got the Akrapovic from the factory, which they say reduces weight of the exhaust by 30%. That is a huge reduction in weight. Doesn't sound very loud though, but then it is Euro 5 compliant. So some of the key things that I really am stoked for the 890 Adventure specifically is the fact that they have changed a lot of things. They've made the bike be able to run at lower RPMs, be able to stay running instead of stalling when those RPMs drop. So they added weight to the crankshaft. I want to say it was a 20 or a 30% increase in weight to the crankshaft. And that just keeps the motor moving, keeps things churning even when the RPMs drop. It's phenomenal. They did a bunch of rework to the motor. They did new valve springs and all kinds of new stuff inside there. Basically just refreshed that 790. Suspension got reworked, brakes got reworked, literally everything on this bike got reworked over the 790, making it just that much better of a machine. Now the key, or the thing that I really would like to see, is just how much better are all of those small improvements. I can tell you this, it's hammering its corners quite nicely. Now if you're wondering, John's running the Motaz Tractionator Rawls up there on that bike. Those tires are pretty much my go-to tire these days. Phenomenal on pavement and they do great off-road. I'm running the Desert HT, a really worn out set. Now I'm giving this 950 all of its beans right now, and I'm pretty sure that John is doing the same. Pretty close to the same acceleration. Now that 890 has got 100 and I think around 107 horsepower, and that's pretty close to what this bike is tuned. You gotta bear with me. I usually ride right up on the rear wheel there, but my latest experience with every single Sunday, almost getting taken out by 2 pickup trucks, or I should say riding myself into the front of 2 pickup trucks. Was not a fun experience, so. Oh shit. Ooh. I'm impressed, man. The pull on that bike is crazy. Now conversely, right, the Yamaha T7, when I had it side by side next to every single Sunday, the 950 here would just spank that bike, just pull away so hard. I'm not having that experience with this 890 at all. It's right there, right at that same amount of acceleration and excitement, if you will. Angel's Crest Highway, one of SoCal's premier motorcycling roads. Up here on this road is where Max Wrist does a bunch of his riding. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. We were able to get our pack talks paired up and ready to roll, so now ready to cruise down the highway, being able to chat to each other and warn each other of things coming up in the road. Dead deer in the middle of the road. Actually, out the side of the road. That bike looks like it's canyoning quite well, John. Whew, this thing smells new. This is a gate built by a guy who doesn't ride a KTM 790, 890. This was meant to keep KTMs out. Any other dirt bike can go through there, but KTM adventure bikes, no go. Yeah. Well, 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 there it is. The 890 Adventure Rally. Woo! That's pretty tall. Alright, so first fire up of this bike. Let's see what we got here. We're in first gear. Let's put this guy in neutral. There we go. There it is. $129 miles on this brand new machine. Wow, this motor's smooth. It revs up to the RPMs quick. Wow. Nothing like the feeling of a new motorcycle, man. Everything is crisp. That 950 up there kind of feels like some spaghetti noodles have been in the pot just a little bit too long. These bars feel narrow. Man, it has to be 10 years since I was up here riding this road. Last time I came up here was on my 08 BMW R1200 GS Adventure. The year that I got it, I believe. Man, it's gorgeous up here. Alright, so first thing I have to say is the brakes on this thing are extremely responsive and the motor is super smooth. So as I'm coming out of these corners, getting some revs, it just picks up and goes. It feels much more linear than any of the KTM twins that I've ever been on. That was fourth gear, straight out of that corner, pin to open up to red line. Pulls super strong. I like this rally seat. This rally seat allows me to feel like I have the entire seating area. So the cockpit on the bike feels open. I like that a lot. The bars are nicely in view. Screens readily accessible by my eyeballs. I can stay in contact with what I'm seeing. But the seat feels different than my 1190 for sure. I feel like I have a lot more room to be able to scoot back on this seat. There's absolutely no restriction in the forward and aft movement while shifting around on the bike. It feels good. The smoothness of the downshifts, the way that motor just kind of kicks in, and it's right here, third gear, come this corner, downshift into second, and the motor just super smoothly combines those two together. pickup on this motor and the way that it shifts through the gears, it feels extremely buttery, way more refined than my 1190 or especially the 950. It's like sewing machine smooth. I've never ridden one of KTM's twins that have been this buttery smooth. Everything feels super seamless. The transition between the gears, downshifting is remarkably smooth. I'm really blown away at how the engine kind of compensates. Even if you're in a higher gear and you drop down into a gear that's a little bit too low, this compensates for that. It's really a phenomenal feeling bike to ride. In the corners, it's just velvety. I don't know how to describe it. It's just really smooth, leans over. I haven't felt like there's any limiting factors there other than the rider. Now we're doing 60 miles an hour here through the canyon. I'm going to shift on up into 6th gear. Now this is a problem or a struggle spot that some of the other larger KTMs have had, in my opinion. And that is when you're in a high gear and you get to an area where you're starting to slow down a little bit, you really have to downshift a gear or two in order to be able to get back into power, in order to be able to allow that thing to come back to life. So here we are, 6th gear, cruising mid-60s. I'm going to grab the throttle. Now there is a little bit of a lug, if you will, not a lug. It's slow to come up because it's not really where it wants to be at as far as gearing goes. But there was no jittering. There wasn't any complaint by the motor for that. And that is something I have found with some of the other bigger KTMs, is the fact that if you are in a higher gear like that and slow down, it's kind of tough to ask the bike to keep going without downshifting a gear or two. I'm feeling that on this bike here, that is a moot point. 6th gear, we can drop down to 50 miles an hour, twist the grip, and get back up to 100 miles an hour pretty quickly without the bike having any reservation or any twitchiness, if you will. Overall rideability, I think, has been improved at least 30%. So right now I'm standing up, just getting the feel for how maneuverable it feels, kind of at a slow speed, just cruising some fire roads here.